Hey, here's a question for you. Is God really faithful or not? Have you ever been praying about something, wanted something to go one way, and it didn't turn out the way that you thought, and made you question of, is God really faithful here? Do I really know his will? Stay with me for the next few moments as we delve into this very serious topic, because I believe we got some things here that can help you and keep you free with God. This is Fresh Air for Life. Get ready, set, let's go. Hey, what's up, family? This is Fresh Air for Life. I'm Anthony D. Crawford. Be sure, if you haven't already, subscribe, hit the alert button, give me a thumbs up, comments, all those good things. Let me know that you're out there, that we are doing Fresh Air for Life together. Now, listen, have you ever been in a circumstance where you were praying about something and things didn't come out the way that you were praying for? I mean, you really had an expectation that, things could come this way and it wind up going the other way, and it left you wondering in your mind, if nothing else, is God really faithful in this area, faithful to see to it, that what we are praying is going to come to pass? Now, first off, let me dispel this. God is not some genie in a box that we can just manipulate any kind of direction that we want to go. But let's be clear right up front. God is absolutely faithful. I remember just watching a clip of this movie not too long ago. It's called Breakthrough, where the mother and her husband, they had a son who now he falls through the ice there in Minnesota, I believe it is. He's actually not breathing and dead really for 15 minutes, and then he's in a comatose state for maybe another 45 minutes or so after that. Make a long story short, the mother, really engages in faith, that she's calling out unto God, and her son comes back. And I know a lot of people were encouraged, by that movie and by that experience, but then I also know it kind of left some people feeling like, wow, I had a loved one, a family member that I prayed for, and that didn't happen. They actually passed. Well, why did that work for them but didn't work for me? Is God really faithful? Let me share with you an example and a story of these three Hebrew boys called Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You'll find in the book of Daniel in the Bible. They're in exile, so they're Jews, Hebrews, but they're no longer, in the Judea area, Jerusalem. They've been taken, captive and over in the Babylonian Empire, and the king at this time is Nebuchadnezzar. His mindset and kind of way of doing business is that he wanted to take the best children that the Jews had, bring them to his palace, train them up in the various arts and wisdom and different things that they did there in Babylonia, so that he could use them. And so now Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and Daniel too, for that matter, fit that mold. So they're in, the capital, with Nebuchadnezzar. He is really one of those people that's full of themselves, and he creates a statue. And then here's the order: when the music, starts playing, everyone in the empire is supposed to stop and worship that statue. Well, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they weren't doing that. They had a heart always to honor God. Matter of fact, Daniel was the exact same way. And so there's some of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's contemporaries that they saw what they were doing, and when they saw them not worshiping, they said, "Oh, we're going to tell on you." That's those individuals that are snitching. I heard a long time ago, snitches get stitches, but I digress. Stay with me on this though, because when this is going on, they get called unto the king, King Nebuchadnezzar. And when King Nebuchadnezzar brings them in and says, "Look, I'm going to give you all one opportunity, one more, to be able to show your allegiance here. When I start this music, I expect to see you all bowing down and worshiping." I love their response. Their response is this: "We're not careful to answer you about this, King Nebuchadnezzar," meaning we're not scared of you. Our God is able to deliver us. And then they say this right on the heels of that: "And he will deliver us." So you can throw us in the furnace if you want to, but our God is able to deliver us, and he will. Now that's a strong statement for them to come out and assertively say that he will. If you put us in the furnace, he will deliver us. Now this is one of those passages of scripture that unfortunately gets misinterpreted a lot of times, because many translations go on after this to say, well, if he doesn't deliver us, we're still not going to bow down. Well, that doesn't even make sense, because if God didn't deliver them, they would have been thrown in the furnace and they'd have been dead. So it wouldn't have even been a question of them bowing down. really what proper translations render here is that what they were saying is, if you throw us into the furnace, we're not bowing down, because our God will deliver us. And if you change your mind and don't throw us into the furnace, we're not going to have some sense of allegiance towards you and feel like we owe you something and then bow down, because we're still not going to bow down at that particular time. So they were saying, if you throw us in, we're not bowing. And if you change your mind and don't throw us in, we're still not going to bow. Man, Nebuchadnezzar got so mad, he heated up the furnace 7 times hotter than it had ever been heated before. He has these big, strong men now bind up these 3 Hebrew boys and throw them into the furnace. The furnace is so hot, the guys who throw them into the furnace get burned up throwing them in. So Nebuchadnezzar is sitting back and he's looking at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and obviously he's expecting for them to be screaming, hollering, and carrying on, but they don't do any of that. They get thrown in, and he looks into the furnace, and all of a sudden he recognizes 4 images. Wait a minute, he asked his people, didn't we throw 3 in there? How is it that I see 4 people, watch this, and all 4 of them now are loose. None of them are bound, and they're walking around in the furnace. He recognized that God now had indeed shown up, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said that he would. And so he calls them out. They come out of the furnace, and watch this, their clothes are still fine. The hair on their heads not singed at all, and they don't even smell like smoke. Ladies and gentlemen, understand something. God is faithful. He is not a respecter of persons, but make no mistake about it, he is a respecter of faith. Now, I know some people, they're very negative about, faith. I don't understand that, because God's called us to live by faith. So that makes no sense to me. You and I have to have an expectation in God. But here's the problem that we come into a lot of times today. We wind up setting our expectation upon other people's experiences. So if something went well for other people, we get excited about it. If something didn't go well for other people, or even in our own lives, then we start to set our expectations based upon those experiences. That is the wrong thing to do. You set your expectations upon what God has declared, and he's the one who said, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. So he's always committed to you. He's always committed to me. Listen, God's grace is sufficient. It's sufficient for victory to always bring us through. Now, that does not mean you won't go through a furnace. You'll have some trying times. You may go into some valleys. But what it does guarantee you is that there will always be some help for you, a help that is a game changer that will bring you out of that furnace, bring you out of that damaging situation where you don't have the damage on you, and you can go ahead and continue to live a victorious life. I'm telling you, God is faithful, and he loves you and me. This is Fresh Air for Life. Stay strong, stay encouraged, trust God, and know that he is there for you. And let your expectation be set upon what he has said, not upon what other people have done and what they're talking about. Love you, be blessed, and we look forward to seeing you soon.